Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by bodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Well, howdy everybody. Jay Reale back at you with The Real Deal Show. There's been a bit of a break in the shows. I've just been traveling and busy. But this is an interview I have been wanting to do since I started The Real Deal Show. I am at Ocean City, Maryland, on the beach, where I started bodyboarding, but more importantly, it's who I started bodyboarding with. One of my dearest and oldest friends, Mark Thomas, also known as Buckwheat. Now, this guy is a legend, man. We've been friends for 40 plus years. More than 40 years. We have a long history together. We're going to dive into some of that with this guy. He is a legend, not just in my book, but really in the sport of bodyboarding. If you were around bodyboarding in the 90s, particularly on the North Shore of Oahu, you will know the name Buckwheat. In particular, Buckwheat's North Shore taxi service, which we'll also get into. But Buck, I'm so stoked to finally get to interview you. I'm back here on the East Coast visiting, and I wrangled you in the middle of your busy career working for Buddy by the Sea. There's your plug, hashtag Buddy by the Sea, which we'll also talk about. So let's dive into the history, man. And I know we could go super deep. We won't go crazy deep, but we're going to get into this. So I believe you grew up in Baltimore, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when did your family move to Ocean City?
8 years old.
So you're 8?
Yes, when I was 8, so it was 47 years ago.
Jeez, okay. So that would have been a few years before I moved here, I think, because I was 16, and you're a few years younger than me. So yeah, you were here ahead of me. You and your brother, Scott, were you into sports? I think you were a football player, right?
Football, basketball, and baseball.
So you did all the classic sports that everyone is used to, but how in the world did you become a beach kid coming from Baltimore and those traditional sports? What made you gravitate to the ocean?
I don't know. I think we started with rafts, maybe. Maybe liking to ride rafts, and then I don't know how it went from there. I just know that we hooked up and that was how it started.
Yeah, so I mean, would your parents drop you off at the beach? Or
yes.
You guys...
Yes, but we only could swim when they were there, when we were little, and we liked it, but we weren't allowed to go out in the water, and it was traditional. You can't swim.
Yeah, don't go in over your knee height, knee depth.
Yes.
So, you know, when I met you, this was summer of 1980, I think. I had just moved here, and you were, I was in 11th grade, and you were, I don't know.
I'm 4 years younger. I'm 55.
Yeah, okay, so you were probably still in middle school.
Yeah.
And there was a bodyboarding event at the Carousel. Patty Serrano brought some pros from California, and they basically did a demo one day and then a contest the next day. You went, I went. We were both just getting into the sport. We didn't know each other at that point, but we met at that event, and we shared the same stoke. Is that how you remember it?
Yes. I also remember winning that contest in 1980. And I won that contest in 1981 as well. I have the plaques at my house.
You didn't win
and I will send them to you. I'm dead serious.
I need photographic evidence. Might have been 81, but I don't know about that 1980 contest. Because you were do you have it on your phone?
I may have it, but let's keep going. I'll definitely show it to you.
We're gonna, if he sends it to me before I finish editing this, I'm gonna post it on the screen. But I'm gonna maintain that might have been the next year, because we were both brand new to the sport. Right. I lost in my first heat.
Oh, I don't know if I lost in my first heat. I'm gonna tell you.
You were in a different division than me.
We were definitely in a different division, and it was definitely a while ago.
The more disturbing part is that you have a picture of that on your phone from 1981.
That's sad. It's not disturbing. It's sad. I'm hanging on, Jay. I'm hanging on.
Hanging on to the glory from the past.
Yeah.
So we both really were, the modern term is frothing for bodyboarding in 1980. And then we started hanging out together in front of the High Point South condos because a friend of ours was running a beach stand there. And you and I and your brother, we would paddle out there every day, right?
Yes, I stand corrected. It's 81.
Ha!
No, 1982.
Okay, 82.
82 and 83.
I knew it wasn't.
Yep.
Okay, I'm accepting that because I was in the senior division
Yep.
and I think I won the senior division. You were in the junior bodyboard division. Right.
I do have a couple wins.
So we used to hang out at the High Point South. They have these things here in Ocean City called beach stands. They're basically big wooden boxes. They fill them with rafts, umbrellas, and chairs. They rent them out to tourists, and there's one like every block. They're open in the summer. And so we used to hang out down there.
We did.
We'd get up to all kinds of stuff. We would, what is it, you or your brother, we would lock in the box and then roll it down the beach.
My brother.
Your brother.
My brother.
You were probably behind
I was.
that prank.
Yep.
But we all rode the bodyboards every day up there in front of High Point South. And got better and better, and really we would push each other in the water, right?
Yes.
Because it was, it's like that thing where you have your crew and everybody's trying to outdo each other.
Yes.
Right. So, so how did it progress from there? Let's have you talk because I'm talking too much.
Oh, you're fine. I'm happy with you talking because I can remember
but
slowly.
You love to talk.
I'd love to talk, but I like to really try to delve into things and just remember.
This guy could sell ice to the Eskimos.
Takes me a little bit to remember things, but I do remember pushing each other and yelling "Ee-ah!"
Yeah, oh yeah.
Ways. We would just yell "Ee-ah!" to get the other guy's attention and let him know that we were going, and it was serious,
big time.
And what we did to get even better was we had to surf every day.
Yes.
No matter what, we went surfing.
For sure.
For sure. We were out in the water every day because that's how we're going to get good.
Yeah.
That's what we said. We're going to get good that way.
Yep.
And I just remember just doing it every day and hanging out at the beach stands and hanging out at your family's bakery and restaurant.
Yeah.
And them giving me free stuff and Jay getting very upset with me. Oh, we're going to go bankrupt because of you.
Well, I have a great memory of picking you up at your place up in Montego Bay.
Yep.
And then you farted in my car.
And you kicked me out.
And I just pulled over in the middle of the coastal highway and said, get out. Get out of my car. Get out and walk. Because we're still like, I don't know, 15 blocks from where we were.
Yeah, I got tossed out. And then we also, Jay was so tight back then, I think we either paid 25 cents or 50 cents for gas.
That's right. That's about right.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
No, but you did help our family out. We had a store in the Sea-Watch condo building. We sold subs and ice cream, and this other dude opened a shop in the same building selling the same stuff. So Buckwheat wasn't having it. So he would go into that other store, one that was full of customers, and go, "Oh my God, there's a rat! There's a rat! I just saw a rat!
I saw another rat!
Just
get out of here!"
Try to drive people out of that store and into my parents' store. So always supportive of the family, even to this day, man. But so at some point, we both finished high school.
Yep.
And then, we were competing. We were doing well. You were winning. I was winning contests. And then, the North Shore was kind of the next step, right?
That was it, yes.
So it was 1985, right?
Yes.
So you and I boarded the plane January 85, I think it was. I was on college break. It was my third year of college. You were probably getting ready. You were probably finishing you just finished high school maybe, getting ready to start college in Virginia. And we said, let's go to the North Shore. We're going to go for 2-3 weeks, whatever. Tell us about that trip.
I recall, it was a little rough, the trip was. My father died when I was on that trip.
Yes.
And but I just remember landing, and somehow our ride didn't come.
Oh, really? I don't remember.
Our ride didn't come. We actually stayed with John Ashton that first night.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were supposed to stay at Mark Foo's.
Yep.
And something was locked, and we couldn't come to the next day. So
my God.
We got a ride to the North Shore. We knocked on John Ashton's door. He put us up for the night. And when I'm in that limo, spending the little bit of money I had, getting a ride to the North Shore for $75, I said, I'm going to come back here and start some taxi service and take surfers to the North Shore.
That's going to be part of this story. We're coming
but I did
up
that
on
year. I did that a few years later. But I remember going to Latiakea. The first time I surfed.
Hold on. First, we stayed at Backpackers.
We stayed at Backpackers.
Mark Fu's place after that first night.
Yes.
And I remember people stealing my food out of the fridge.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But there's nothing we could do.
It was a hostel.
It was a hostel.
It was a shared kitchen, shared bathroom, bunk bed.
Stealing our stuff, and it was new to me, but we didn't really know enough people to say anything.
And we didn't have the money to stay anywhere nicer than that.
We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
It was like $12 a night.
Yeah, low budget trip, full on.
But we got to surf. That's all that mattered.
Did we buy? No, you know what? We rented a car. Did we rent a car at Rent-A-Wreck?
I think we might have
This is the story. So we rented a car. We needed to get around in Hawaii, and I had never driven a stick. And we pulled up to the place. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
And they gave me a stick shift car, and they said, "Do you know how to drive a stick shift?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, sure." I just lied. And we're in Waikiki. I'm learning how to drive a stick on. And you're terrified, thinking I'm going to crash.
Gonna kill us.
Oh my God. Anyway, so I digress. We're back to the story. So that first winter had a big impact on you on the North Shore. You met a ton of people, right?
Yes. I just told Jay just to take me out there and introduce me to people.
Yeah.
And then I would take it from there. And I think I was there 9 or 10 days, and my father died. But I Keith Sasaki and Pat Caldwell and Jay were just so supportive. They were almost brothers to me when all that happened. They said, "Don't worry. When you come back, we're going to remember this."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ended up hooking up with those guys from there on, and then the rest is history.
So you basically, you went that year, and then you went again.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if it was the next year.
It was 2 years afterwards.
2 years later, you went back, and they all embraced you. You really fit in with the Hawaiian crew, the bodyboarders, and then you started meeting some of the surfers.
Yes.
It's like you just. You have that personality, man. You're able to connect with people, different people on different levels. Yep. And for some reason, man, guys like Kainoa McGee and Chris Burkhardt and, some of the pro surfers, June Joe and those guys. Kalani Rob. They just latched onto you, man, and you just started hanging with them, right?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
and you left me behind.
Yeah. well, Jay did his job.
Yeah,
and it was an amazing job. He introduced me, but I never forgot about Jay. But I'm telling you, I met everybody. Chris Burkhardt gave me a call. Him and I became best friends. Yeah. Kainoa. You name the person. I was surfing over at Third Dip.
Which is like spots that you don't surf unless you know people in the water.
I got lucky to really meet a lot of people, and they really embraced me. But I think what I really wanted to do for myself is let them know that I meant business. So I would take off the deepest.
Yeah.
I would take off when it was going to close out, and I'd close out 90% of the time. Sometimes I'd make it, but they were like, holy cow, that guy
didn't pull back.
Didn't pull back. That guy's crazy.
So along those lines, let's talk about a few incidents.
Yes.
Let's start with the log cabin's head bonk on the reef incident.
Well, we could go to the first one. We can go to Dane Kealoha.
Okay, let's go back to Dane Kealoha, who's a surfing legend on the North Shore in the 70s and 80s. Yep. Hawaiian royalty, basically. What happened?
Nope, I didn't have my glasses on.
That's the excuse.
Yeah. He was going right, which he should have been, because he's a...
This is that pipeline, by the way.
This is that pipeline. He was going right, and I was taking off deep left. All I remember is hitting him. Don't know who I hit. I just knew I hit him.
Oh, my God.
And I knew he was fired up.
Oh, man.
He said, "Hold, get out." And I couldn't get out fast enough. And he cracked me twice on the back of my head. And I was like, okay, I'm out now.
Now, I remember it. I was sitting on the beach putting my fins on. So this is my perspective.
Okay.
I was putting my fins on. It was like a cranking day at Pipeline, like 6 to 8 Hawaiian size, which is big. It's well overhead. And Dane Kealoha is known for going right at back door, and Buckwheat's on the left, on the other side of the peak, and they both tried to go through back door of the peak, going opposite directions. Collided at the base of the wave. The lip hit them both. They came up, rash guards over the head, just boards, tombstoning. And I see Dane pop you a couple times.
Yep.
And you came in, and I stopped putting my fins on. I was like, ooh. This is going to be a toxic environment out there. And you came in and I don't think you knew it was him at that point.
Right.
And you were pacing up and down the beach because you're the kind of guy, if somebody cracks you, you're cracking them back.
Yeah.
But you were torn because you knew this is the North Shore, man. I got to watch what I do here. And you were like torn. What should I get this guy in and have at him? But then I think maybe I or someone came up to you and said, that was Dan Kaloha. Dude, you should leave the beach right now. and wisely, you left. Got out of there, and everything cooled out eventually. Yep. And after that, everything, kind of got better for you, man.
Right.
You made friends with the right people.
Right. But I wasn't friendly with people by then. They didn't know me by then. They were starting to get to know me. It wasn't where I could pick the phone up and say, Dane just cracked me, could we make up?
Yeah, right.
I remember.
You just had to lay low.
Yeah, I had to lay low. Yeah. I remember Sonny and I got into it.
Ooh. What happened
at
there?
Pipe.
Sonny Garcia.
Him and I got into it at Pipe, and I told him I wasn't going to go in, and then he goes, you go in. I said, I'm not going in. So we had a few words, and I went and surfed off the wall, and then I called Kainoa, and Kainoa ironed it out, and where we got to meet. Sonny and I met, and then we were friends after that.
There you go, man.
But I remember I can't believe I just did this, but I know I won't get kicked out of Hawaii because I knew enough people then. But it was kind of a stupid move. It wouldn't have worked for most people.
It's a learning experience, though, man.
Yep.
You're not the first, and you won't be the last.
No.
That had something like that go down, and it depends what you do after that happens.
Yep.
Whether you're welcome back to the North Shore or not, and you did it the right way.
Yep.
So let's talk about the log cabins incident where you hit the.
You know more than I do about that.
Okay, so as I recall, and you can fill
I'll
in
give you the
blanks.
date: December 20th, 1990.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we were out at log cabins. It was pumping.
Oh, it was the best day
ever. A lot of
ever.
people,
Yeah.
really good logs, and Buckwheat takes off on this wave. And if you know anything about log cabins, there's a sand beach, but then there's a rock shelf that sort of sticks out on the sort of the west end of that beach. And Wheat takes off on a good right, killer wave as I recall. But you kept riding it, and you kept riding it. And I had just gotten out. I was standing with a photographer, Brian, Steph, and Hank, Snack Bar Hank. And we're watching you, and I'm like, kick out, Buck. Kick out of the wave. Get out of the way. And you just kept going. And eventually the thing just snowballed and pushed you under the ledge.
Yeah.
You disappeared. And we were like, oh, my God, where is Buckwheat? He's gone. And so we start walking out on the reef, and you get sucked out from under the ledge, and you were like dazed, half out of it. Pick it up from there.
Just totally out of it. I saw everything. When I was a kid, I was like, no, you can't die. You can't die. And then I remember, I think it was Jay, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And then they got me out of there, and what's it called?
Sanford
from
and
Virginia Beach.
I had run to the Rock Pile's lifeguard tower to tell him, hey, my friend just hit his head.
Yeah. And I got a bunch of stitches in my head and my back, and then I guess Herbie Fletcher gave me a towel.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Herbie Fletcher gave me a towel. I mean, I was still starstruck out there. I was like, wow.
Even in your injured state.
Yeah. And they took me off, and they fixed me up, and there I was.
And they were back at it.
And I was back at it, but I wore a helmet after that.
That's right.
Yep.
You wore the white helmet, the gaff.
Yep, I wore a helmet
from
after
that point on.
From that point on.
So you were very recognizable out in the surf from that point on. Okay, so let's talk about some of your wheeling and dealing on the North Shore. Let's start with, man, there's just so much. But let's talk about your little studio apartment across the street from Off the Wall. Tell me about that place.
I paid $700 a month.
You still remember?
I remember, and I charged $225 a bed, and I put 7 people in there to rent. To rent spots out.
7 people in a studio
7
apartment.
people. That's not including me. I was the 8th. Bob Hovey lived there. Bill Barb. Some other people from California. I had a car. I rented the car out to people.
Oh my God.
You weren't allowed to use the refrigerator. You could only write down what you had, and you had to pay me for it. That's the way my store worked. That's how you had to live there. But you lived there for cheap. $225.
So it was like he would go to the store once a week or whatever it
Yep.
was. You'd buy everything in
Steinlager's,
bulk,
beer, and everything.
and you would inventory it.
Yes.
And you would write down how many of each thing you had, and the crew that was staying there, because they didn't have wheels, they
Yep.
were basically at your mercy. They couldn't get to the store.
But
to
they
make
couldn't bring
groceries.
food in.
They
No
weren't
outside food. And I'll tell you something really funny. I came home in the middle of the night just from hanging out with everybody. I guess when I was in town or something. And I was missing 2 Steinlagers.
Uh-oh.
And I got home and there was all 7 of them on this floor. And I said,
Oh, no.
I'm missing 2 Steinlagers. And somebody like Bob or somebody said, one was me, Buckwheat, I'm sorry. And the other was somebody else. And I said, okay, next time write it down or I'm going to find you.
Find you.
I'm going to find
Fines.
you.
I
So,
love it.
so we
man.
did that. And then actually, when rent was due, Bob owed several $100s for food and all that. Bob got bitten by a centipede.
Oh my God.
And I looked
Sleeping on the floor. of your
Sleeping on the
place.
floor of the place. And I looked at Bob and I said, Bob, your ass is not going to die on me. You owe me money. So you have to stay up all night.
It was in your best interest to keep him alive until the debt was paid.
I had to keep
Then he
him
could
alive.
die. Now, these poor guys, I will say this, they would, to make money to pay him, they would take the bus to
No,
town.
they rented my car for $25 to go do blood.
Yes, so they would donate blood plasma at some lab, and they'd get, I don't know, how much they get,
$25
$25, enough to buy enough food to last a few days.
Enough to pay me. 4 or 5 of them would go in there and come with $100 and some. I charge them for the car and for gas.
Oh my God, I love it. But that wasn't the end of it.
No, that wasn't the end. I used it for Mike Tyson fights.
The Tyson fight. That's what I was leading
Yes.
into. Tell us about the Tyson fight. Because I had to pay, I think.
You did.
I was not a team member.
I had
I paid. I got a discounted rate, but I'm pretty sure I paid.
Sadly, I think you did.
Yeah.
But I had probably 30 or 40 people in my place.
You put out like flyers.
I put out flyers
told people
for the
word of
Mike
mouth.
Tyson fight.
You were doing the pay-per-view of the Tyson fight.
Pay-per-view. So I had 30 or 40 people in there at $5 a
studio
person
apartment.
in a studio, and then I sold them food. And I made sure they were there an hour and a half early, and I did like 2 hot dogs and a Gatorade for $2. And I just went on, and Keith Sasaki was there. He was in for free actually.
I got to throw some details in here, man, because there, you have a fight, and then there's the round ends.
Yep.
You would flash the lights on and off at the light switch and say, "Hot dog special for the next minute." 2 hot dogs and a Snickers.
Yep.
And a Coke for
$3.
$3, $5,
whatever it was.
And you were boiling the hot dogs, I think,
cooking them on the
in
spot.
a hot plate.
Yeah.
And like they had to step up in that minute, or they missed the special.
Yeah.
It was just an entrepreneurial juggernaut that you had created. I don't know how much you made off that gig.
$300 or $400.
That's insane.
And then I think I still owe the cable company. I think it's
Still after
$50.
you.
They're still after me.
So, but then you stepped it up a notch, right? You saw
Yes.
a need for rides from the airport.
Yes.
Let's talk about the North Shore taxi.
Oh, when I first got there, like I told you all, we got stuck, and it cost a lot of money to get to the North Shore. It was $80 to $100, and I was like, we only got $300 each.
Yep.
We're going to be done
For the whole week.
for a whole couple of weeks, and we were already paid for our place, so we were good to go. We needed that for food. And then I just decided that I could make money with North Shore Taxi. And I don't know how it really started, but I remember putting flyers up.
So you had a rental car, right?
I had to rent a car, Rent-A-Wreck.
Rent-A-Wreck, which is
Yep.
like the cheapest place to
Yep.
rent a car.
It was $400 with insurance, and I charged $40 to go to pick you up from the airport.
Yep.
And I always got to be really good friends with the people, and I would charge them an extra $25 for the ride back.
And did you put up a thing at Foodland?
Yes.
That's how you advertised back then.
Yep, I advertised then.
Yep.
And then for their friends to talk to me, you could call me from the mainland after 9 o'clock. It was 12 cents on my cell phone. I had one of those big cell phones.
Okay.
Yes. And I remember doing that. And I also remember the flyers worked well. I was busy all the time, and most of the times the flights were at night anyway.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter.
You miss waves.
I didn't miss any waves. I needed to work after the incident because I was working at Cafe Oliva, and I blamed being tired why I got hurt.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Were you working in the kitchen at Cafe
I was
Oliva?
working there. I worked there for like a month for Duncan Campbell.
Yep.
That was the only job I've actually had in a while.
He still owns that place.
He still does, and it's really good still. I was there a few
Amazing.
years ago.
Wow.
But I don't know, I just figured out how I could pick people up from the airport, pay for my rental-car, and still have a lot of extra money left over.
But then someone else decided they were going to muscle in on your territory and put a thing up at Foodland offering a taxi service to the airport. But you didn't just let that go. What did you do?
I didn't let it go. Actually, it was the one where Keith Sasaki played the trick on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's some other ones too, but the one that Keith Sasaki played a trick on me, I believe. Do you know that story?
No.
I believe like Kainoa McGee's number was involved, and he's like, something
like threatening
me, and all this stuff. And then I was like scared to death, and then they had to admit it was them.
Oh my God.
That was one of them.
Yep.
And the second one was when I was with June and everybody at the surfing house, and the guy actually put up a legitimate sign, but he didn't take the same name. And I called him up, and I called him, and he finally answered. And I said, you know what? That's it. I said, either you take down those signs in a day, or I'm deporting you.
Was he a Brazilian guy,
yep.
Right?
I said, I'm deporting you, and every time I deport somebody, I get $10,000, and my wife needs a new Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my wife needs a new Mercedes.
The guy's working, and he's not American.
Exactly.
Right? He's not allowed to work.
So the signs came down, and there goes Buck's business. It was still back and running again.
I think, as I recall it, though, initially, you would call that number of the other taxi guy.
And run them. And
you would go, hey, I'm landing at the airport at 1 in the morning.
I did that a few times as well.
And they would drive there. There'd be no one to pick up.
Yeah.
They'd be doing loops around the block, and there's no one.
I did that for a few times, and then when that didn't work, I had to go to the threatening.
Oh, my God. That's great. So good. And then, let's see. What else? So many great Buckwheat North Shore stories. You used to go with Kainoa and his brother to the University of Hawaii basketball games and heckle the referees.
Yes,
right?
We all went there. We all went. Jackie Booter.
The whole crew. Didn't you get kicked out?
Never got kicked out, but I got threatened by the coach. He told me he was standing over top of me, said he was gonna beat me up, and I told him that he would lose his job by the time he got to Ohio State. By the time he got to his.
My daughter's gone to UH.
That was good though. We had so much fun watching games. Basketball. It was insane.
Fun. And now, let's see what else, man. There's
cars. I sold cars.
Oh yeah, you sold cars.
I went to auctions and sold cars. I would buy the cheapest car you could buy is $128. I remember that because it was $98 and then the fees, $96 and the fees.
Oh my God!
And I would sell the cars for $800 to $1,000, and I would get you a fake insurance card for another $100, and the guy sold it to me for $50. So I'd make $50 on that too. And then when you left the North Shore, I actually sold Kelly Slater a car.
Oh my God!
His little green Honda that you see in the movies.
Yeah.
That's the car I sold Kelly. He was supposed to pay me $1,000. He paid me $700 for that.
He still owes you.
I don't know. His agent talked me down on the spot.
Oh, Brian Taylor.
Yes.
Former agent.
That was back in the day, but I had a great car, and he used that car for a while.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I just sold a lot of cars. I bought cars back from people as well. I had it made.
Well, it's the perfect example of how well connected you were on the North Shore, for me, was probably one of the last years you came to the North Shore on a regular basis, and we were at some house at Off the Wall. I don't remember who had rented the house, the BZ bodyboard team maybe, but for some reason Perry Dane was there. Now Perry was one of the most feared characters on the North Shore. He was one of those guys that if he paddled out, you just went somewhere else. You paddled down the beach or go in because you never knew when he was going to just snap for no reason. But you knew him, and I was on the deck at the BZ house, and you decided you were going to scare me. So you told Perry to come up to me and go, what, bro, what? Like he was going to punch me in the face. And then he's standing, Perry comes up to me and he's saying that to me, and I'm just like, I'm dead. He's going to punch me. My teeth are gone. And then I look over his shoulder, I see Buckwheat chuckling like this, laughing, and I realized that he put Perry up to it, and I was like, oh my God, thank God. My heart was pounding out of my chest. So he had gotten in with the North Shore elite at that point. I was convinced. So the North Shore years were amazing for you, and you've continued those relationships over the years. But what happened after the North Shore years? You decided I'm going to settle down. You ended up in Arizona.
Ended up in Arizona. I had a child.
Yep.
When I was 34, I stopped going to Hawaii and full time in 2000.
Yep.
And I went to Australia in 2000 as well.
Oh yeah.
I stopped going there regularly because I had a child. Ended up in Arizona.
How did you end up in Arizona?
That's where the mom. That's where the mom of the child lived.
Okay. And where did you meet her?
I met her in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I met her in Hawaii, and she had a kid, and I brought her back to Maryland. I was like, well, I got to take care of this kid.
Yep.
And then the kid was one. The kid, Morgan, or not, Alicia, who's 20 years old.
Yes.
I raised her alone because the mom actually got into drugs.
Oh man.
And I was in Arizona with a kid.
With no family support.
With no family support, no anything. And I just fought through it. It made me who I am today.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And she's 20 years old. I've raised her. She's a good girl. She's in college. And I ended up back home about 17 years ago, back to Maryland.
Yeah, so you came back to Ocean City.
Yep.
And you have done a variety of things to pay the bills and support.
Restaurant business, but then 6 years ago, I had a friend from military school call me, and a little bit off track here, but the reason he called me is because I was in military school and I sold food out of a trunk, and I was making $300 to $400 a week.
This is contraband food,
at school.
Right?
No, it was cigarettes that were legal back then. Yes,
okay.
But I was making $300 to $400 a week profit, more than the teachers were making their salary in the 80s. And
of course,
he looked at me, my roommate Andy Wareheim. His family owns Snyder Snyder,
like snack food.
And snack food and Hanover Brands, and he said, "One day you're going to work for me."
Wow.
And 6 years ago, he called me he said, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to start a business and you're going to be involved. And I said, okay. And I didn't pay any attention to him. And he started this company called Buddy by the Sea. And it was online to start with. And then we just launched it and went out into the whole country. And VP of sales, take care of all the sales for it. We have salespeople. I have about 140 accounts.
Talk about what Buddy by the Sea is
Buddy by the Sea
about.
gives back 10% to people who need service dogs, and it's service dog providers. So we give back 10% of our profits and go that way. It's our 6th year.
Yep.
Right now we're in about 500 stores.
Wow.
And growing, and we just launched Buddy by the Lake. So anybody knows any lake areas, I've this year alone I have 40 accounts for the lake already.
Wow,
so
man.
We've launched it. It's really good. We have very good financial backing, and actually we're starting to make money now.
That's insane.
So I've got lucky and got in this. Well, I didn't get lucky. I'm a natural salesperson.
You're a hard worker, man.
And we killed it, and that's what we do.
And so it's no surprise that you got into this kind of business because sales have always been at the core of what you were.
Yes.
And I know you have a history in the restaurant business through your dad and mom, who both worked in that industry. But man, bet from back in the day, selling cars in the North Shore Taxi, selling the Tyson fight.
Knowing how to make money.
You know how to sell stuff, man.
Yep.
And occasionally I'll see you selling stuff on Facebook still.
All right, once in a while.
Stuff that you
I did that for business. I did it for a business. I was going to people's houses. I sold 7 or 8 cars on Facebook for
That's
people.
unbelievable, man.
So whatever, I'll do whatever it takes to put food on the table.
And you have another daughter, Morgan.
Morgan's 12.
12. So you have 2 girls.
Yeah.
Your oldest daughter's in college, right?
Yes.
And Alicia's, what's she studying in college?
General studies at this point. She's a COVID, I want to say COVID product.
Sure.
She graduated in 2020.
Yep.
Not a good year to graduate.
Yeah, rough, man.
So she's in community college. She was going to go to Salisbury. So we'll see what she does. And now she's looking at like government jobs and things like that. She's got her head on straight.
Yep.
And she wants to have a job where it's almost impossible
security.
out here. Yeah, she wants to have security.
Well, you did a good job, man, raising the kids as a single dad, for most of that. And that's a testament to your character.
Well, I watched people like you and Kainoa with his kids, and it's not hard to be a parent.
You just have to be present.
You got to be present, and guess what? The number one thing of being a good parent is you're not their best friend, you're their parent, and then secondly, you're their best friend.
That's good.
That's the way it works.
That's
and keep your circle small.
Yeah.
Keep your circle small.
Yep. I hear that.
Yep.
So what about bodyboarding for you now? Like, where does that fit into your life, if at all?
I once in a while, probably 2 or 3 times a year, not really enough. I want to get back in shape. I did lose 20 pounds.
Yep.
So
Congrats.
thank you. I don't have the stoke that I had at one time. I hate to say that. I'm just not.
All right.
You know what I mean? I don't.
It's work. It's a bit of work to get in the water, especially here, because the surface small a lot, or the wind's bad, or it's freezing in the winter.
I don't. That's my. If I lived in Hawaii right now, I would probably go out 3 days a week.
Yeah,
and I'm not making excuses, but we just don't have waves here.
Yeah, it's just easier over there.
And I just got a new wave runner.
So you're back in the water.
I'm back in the water.
Different vehicle, but you're
different vehicle. But I've had that for about 8 days now, and I've already been out of it 3 times.
You haven't crashed it. That's good.
Thank you, God. Thank God. I'm very faith-based.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yes.
So church is really important.
Church is important. God's very important to me. Everything I have is because of God.
Yep. Did you just call me Jimmy? He's going senile right now.
No, I did not call you Jimmy.
I heard the word Jimmy.
But everything I have is because of God.
Yes.
And I'll give it to Him immediately, because without Him I'd be no one. So that's there it is there.
That's so
in a
awesome,
nutshell.
man. And so, you're back out in the water on the wave runner.
Yep.
What does the future hold for Mark Christopher Thomas?
I don't know. Just probably
building up Buddy by
the Sea and going, making more lake accounts and making more sea accounts and just being who I am.
Well, now you've told me before,
And
like when
kids.
you retire, you want to end up in South Carolina. Is that still on the table for you?
No, my house is almost paid off here.
Okay.
I don't want to go anywhere. I don't really have any bills here.
Yeah. So why
go anywhere? Why shake the tree?
Especially now when it's crazy.
It's
not
crazy.
That you're retiring anytime.
No, I'm not. I'm going to keep working and keep selling and whatever God has in store for me, and raise my family and that's it. Be with my mom.
I have, speaking of praying and God, great memory that I have, and I shared this last night at the Hall of Fame induction thing that we went to, is, when you and I don't know, probably I was 18 and you were 15, 14.
Yep.
And the surf was big. We had a hurricane swell. Maybe Gloria was the name of the hurricane. I can't remember. It was early 80s. I don't know. If I was 18, it would have been around 82. And pumping surf. And you and I met at 15th Street here in Ocean City. And it was like, I don't know, overhead. For you, 2 feet.
It was about 6 feet. It was solid 4 to 6 feet.
For me, 10 to 12 foot faces. I'm going to say, I don't know, it was a long time ago, but you and I pull up on the beach and we're like looking at each other and we're like, oh man, this is scary big. Like, we had never ridden waves that big. And we said, we should pray. Let's pray before we go out. I think we got down on a knee and prayed for safety.
Yep.
That we would survive it. That was just the beginning of the big wave days, when we would push each other. We would go out at Pipeline on the North Shore on big days. I would usually sit off on the shoulder with all the girls and kids.
No, you didn't.
And you would paddle past me.
I would definitely paddle past you.
Out to the beach.
With Liam and all them
because
screaming,
you knew
go.
all those guys. Yeah. And I didn't. I wasn't really in that circle, but I would just take leftovers. But man, what some great times we had in those North Shore days.
Yes.
And you have any plans to go back to Hawaii to visit everyone?
Yes, I do. I was there. I think I was there 5 years ago, which is sad.
Okay.
I still communicate with a good bit of them.
Yeah.
A good bit of the boys. I love all those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are like brothers to me. Just, it's terrible I don't live there.
It's just hard to get over.
It's just hard.
Life gets in the way.
But I will be back. And I will see my friends again in person.
I feel like a good chance for you to go back would be the Garden Isle Bodyboard Classic. I know it's in August, which is probably not a great time for you, but all that crew shows up for that event in one place.
I tried to get involved with that before the COVID year. Buddy by the Sea was going to sponsor it.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually was staying with Burkhardt. I had it all lined up, and COVID killed everything.
Oh, wow.
But I will get back for that, and Buddy by the Sea will eventually sponsor that. It will give some money for. I know that for a fact. Maybe not this year, but I will get money for that from Buddy by the Sea. If I got to pull it out of my own pocket, I will make it happen.
And you had friends on Kauai too,
Oh, Chris Burkhardt, Hubbard's,
the Hub brothers.
Yes.
And some of the surfers over there too.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you got some, and the Kauai Classic crew, right?
They're still there, yes.
Bob Sato, who rest in peace, Bob.
Yep.
So, man, the connections run deep, and the beauty of this sport, just to kind of wrap things up, is that, the connections don't end. Like, Buck and I have known each other since 1980, right? It's 2022 as we record that. That's 42 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes we won't talk for, a couple months or whatever, but
Boom.
It's like we're right back to where we were when we talk. And, I look forward to the day when, hopefully we can paddle out on maybe a smaller day at Pipeline than we used to
that'd
surf,
be fun. Yeah,
the bigger days don't interest me anymore.
Not me neither at all. Yeah.
Or anywhere in Hawaii, and maybe Sandy Beach or whatever, and just with that old school crew, and just relive those memories.
I believe we'll get to that one day.
Yeah,
I believe we'll do that.
But you can look this guy up. He's on Instagram. What's your Instagram now? You changed it? Didn't you get hacked?
I'm just Mark Thomas on Facebook.
Okay.
Instagram, I don't. Mark Thomas on Facebook. I just. Ocean Pines.
Yeah, so didn't it used to be Mark?
It was Mark
Thomas?
Buckwheat Thomas, but that page is gone.
Okay.
I got hacked, but Mark Thomas, Ocean Pines, you could find me.
Yep.
Yep, I'd love to connect to all the bodyboarders out there.
Yeah, this guy, anyone who was around in the 90s on the North Shore knows you. You're a legend. You're my friend for over 4 decades, man. And you are who I started this sport with. So I'm grateful for the time you gave me today, man, to interview you.
I appreciate it.
I feel like we could just go on forever, but I think we touched on some of the classics.
Touched on enough stuff, yeah. It was fun.
Maybe we'll pick it up in the future next time you're in California or I'm back here. And, thanks, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Love you, man.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
Your family's my family. You know that.
Thank you, buddy. And, your family to us, too, man.
You've always been great to me.
So that's Mark Buckwheat Thomas, one of my oldest, dearest friends. Thanks for joining us, folks, on The Real Deal Show. Hope you enjoyed the YouTube broadcast, or if you listen on the podcast, you liked it as well. If you're on YouTube, give us the thumbs up, subscribe, throw down some comments. I'll send them his way, because I know some of you remember or have some great stories about this guy, and we'll get him to respond to those comments.
Yep.
So that's it from 47th Street in Ocean City, Maryland, where Mark and I started bodyboarding 43 years ago. And over and out. We will see you in the surf.
Thanks.